Hello and welcome to episode 70 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Zach Bro.
Hey, I'm Dan Boone.
And we are joined again by VinnyValient himself. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm alright.
VinnyValient is the one I always refer to when people bitch about not being able to win because they don't spend enough money. Because Vinny will whoop your ass, and he is basically free to play. So, you also nowadays there's been a lot of water stuff. You've kind of like skewed towards water since the last podcast, right?
I kind of always was water, but since the last time I was on the podcast, I was wet lightning. But they're just more lightning units, and water units were only got their EX about 1.5 years into the game, so about half a year after Annie. And then I've been transitioning more into water, and then with Celeste, I can actually do auto battles now, and not way down the guild.
That is, yeah, no, Celeste has been huge in general, and then I imagine for anyone who loves their water units, it's got to be a great pickup. Also real quick, addressing, I do have no camera today, so I will be sharing sort of what I'm looking at while we chat on the War of the Visions calc side, so maybe that'll be interesting for some people, but camera should be back next week. We'll see. But anyway, sorry, Vinny, back to you. How do you, so we always kind of talk about like the caveat of water units where it's like, oh, but lightning exists and Frederica's always around and all this stuff. Like, how do you, because you usually place much higher than me, and you do very well with your teams. Like, how do you handle the lightning menace as a sort of a water main?
To avoid queuing up. Avoid queuing into them.
You intelligently pick your time slots. Lots of scouting and research.
So looking at the last class match, we had the square in the middle. There's no quickens, but we do have it wasn't even Keenblade. I think there's a lot of, I didn't actually face that many lightning units that CM, but there's I do a lot of CT management anyway. So you may know that I do a lot of double quicken. I do a lot of CT calculations. So a lot of the time when doing battles, I'm always checking the CT, seeing, am I going to chain my units together? Are the opponents going to interrupt me? And I do a lot of positioning and pacing, or spacing. And I usually run X Victoria and Lara Croft together. So I've got that double chain going on, so I can actually still deal damage to lightning units and at range. So chances are I'm going to get the first hit. If I've managed my CT well, I might get the second hit as well. And usually that gives me enough of a chaining snowball to carry me through the rest of the match.
Sweet. Yeah, I figured, chaining was going to be involved. That's actually, you use Lara Croft. Do you have evasion set up, or is she just kind of like a sort of value missile unit?
I equip her with her own guns, Santa Robe, and her own backpack, her TMR, and that's kitted for all evasion. But in terms of the vision cards, I kind of half do it. I don't bother with the only evasion VC there is Shiva, and I don't bother with that because the rest of the team usually doesn't do evasion.
Only available for water, you mean? Like for water units?
Yeah. So I can only use, Shiva's the only real good evasion. There are some MR water VCs, but I guess I'd only run those if I was running Lara and Farm together, and I don't normally do that. So what usually ends up happening is like Lara's just like a mini evasion check for opposing teams. If they haven't built accuracy, then thankfully Lara can just
get fucked. Yeah, I remember back in the day, like before we had EXs, and I was watching a lot of JP side class matches. They would always use like a half evasion setup to where they would like use the evasion VCs and then like another value VC on top of that, and they would have like 50-60ish% to hit, sometimes like 40-30 depending on the unit. And I always found that as interesting, like you're coin flipping to even do damage sometimes, and like it adds up a lot over time to increase win percent. It's a interesting route to go. I know Laura's pretty evasive as is though, so I guess that makes sense to me.
What if they do
Uh,
that on purpose because they're used to auto PvP and making them coin flip instead of go for the guaranteed hit?
I mean, it creates a lot of value. Like you
Yeah.
could add like what, say like 15 defense off of a Leona's castle, or you can just dodge all damage half the time. It's like almost like having 50 defense or something like that. It's not exactly how that works because if they flip the coin well, you're gonna take more damage. But it's an interesting sort of gambit to run. I do like that. But let's get into this week. So we have the Persona 5 collaboration finally. I know a lot of people have been excited for this in my guild, especially, but it looks like around the game in general. But before we get into all of that goodness, there was one release today that definitely wasn't on my radar, but it is here, and that's the Staff of Madness. Yeah, you guys can see my screen. Can't see my cursor, so we'll highlight as we go. But the staff. Now, how do you get these from the 13th chamber? I don't have any of these yet, so I actually don't know how you get them. is that
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the 13th quest and you get the gear.
And you have to put stuff into it to max it, obviously, because it has stats here. Okay. So this thing's got 110 HP, 9 attack, 180 magic, pretty decent. 8 accuracy, meh. 3 crit rate. Condition, the overall ability is magic attack 20, which is it's pretty solid. And if you are Gargus, you get an additional wind attack 15, AoE resist 10, and then cast time for both AP and TP skills 300. So this is not like a TMR or anything. It's it's a normal rod you can equip in the first 2 slots. Do we see this used much? Do you guys have any opinions on this item? Either one of you, Vinny, I guess we'll go to first.
Yeah.
Or
It's good on Gargus.
right, yes, of course. So I guess let me rephrase. Do you see using this on anybody but Gargus?
The main things you'd compare it to, because you're only benefiting from 20 magic attack, you'd compare it to Sage's staff,
Right.
which you either have it or you don't.
You don't.
Or the Plat Rod, which is also magic attack. And those are the direct comparisons, and I need to look at Plat Rod, but you'll definitely be getting that 5 extra magic attack. So I think
Plat Rod I think is 182, so I'd much rather 5 magic attack than 2 magic.
Yeah, so it's better than that already. And then you need to compare that to the other staffs, which I don't have. So.
Oh yeah, wait, water staff unit. It's like what, Severo? Who am I forgetting? Is there like a UR water mage? Besides like calculators. Besides like they use as a staff. I mean, a rod user.
Aerith is the only one.
Oh, Aerith. Yep. Okay, that is a unit for sure. Yeah, I guess as I asked the question, it was just sort of a default question we always talk about. But yeah, this is not anything super incredible for non-Gargus units. I mean, the 20 magic tech is, it's basically a strict upgrade over a platinum rod. But it's probably been like a year since I've used a platinum rod. It's like all the penetration has been a lot better. Dan, did you have any other thoughts to add to that on top?
Yeah, so I think the most important or the most impactful thing to me is the decreased activation time. As a black mage and with his sub jobs, like a lot of his skills with casting times are gonna benefit from the extra 300, bringing it down to like 2 ticks, instead of like the 3, because his master ability gives him 200, and then to both AP and
Oh
TP.
wow. Okay.
So it's actually an improvement instead of one of those situations where it's like you're not really increasing the cast time to where it's useful. So like why even use it? Like they could have just as easily increased it by 200, and that the 600 total cast time wouldn't be as impactful for like the 280 cast times and such. So I like it. It's like a definite upgrade for Gargus, obviously, more than it could have been. I'm not really a super huge fan of Gargus, even though like I'm kind of pretty invested in Wind and enjoy playing Wind. But I mean, to me, he seems like a PvE unit mostly, and this helps him do PvE shit better. So, I mean, yeah, it's cool.
PvE. No, I was kidding. Yeah, it's a definitely a cool item. Obviously, if this was a overall like everybody got the cast time, that'd be nuts. Actually,
Oh yeah. Oh my
would you?
god.
Can you imagine if there was a rod that it didn't have any magic tack pen, none of that? All it had was this like 300 cast time down. I'm pretty sure. Oh man,
I mean,
the implications. I don't even know what that would enable, but it's got to be something cool. I mean, even for just quickeners in general. Oh, anyway. Okay. So let's not talk about things that aren't going to exist. Let's get into things that do exist and start off with Joker. So, oh, I'm on the wrong page for him. So we talked about Vinny. You gonna go over Joker for us?
Yep. So Joker, he has 3/2 movement. Main job is wildcard, and he's got sub jobs Nightblade and Gunner. A running theme is that all 3 of the new units have Gunner sub, which is probably quite thematic. His master ability, standard dark party ability, and he's got an interesting DP AP consumption 15. We'll have to look at his skills to see how impactful that is. And he's got a small AoE resistance of 5. Looking at his stats, I normally go to the builder for this. Base agility is 64, nothing on the board. But having such a high
wait. Base?
yeah.
His base is
Yeah.
64? What? Oh,
Yeah.
God. That's the highest in the game, right?
Yeah, I think it previously Nivlu was like 63 or something.
Or is... Wait. Oh, it's not... I can't even look at the index. God damn it. Who...
You look at Niblu.
I thought there might be... I thought that she was 63.
Nivlu's got 65 base.
Oh,
plus
really?
6 on the
Okay.
board,
Good lord.
but Joker does have a passive that increases his agility.
Oh my.
So Joker is faster.
At least he can't equip glinting armor. Can't do the team armor.
Oh, Jesus. So Zenith is mentioning there are 3. Corwell, Joker, and Violet all have 64 base. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
Continuing with his stats, he's got quite high 254 dex and 262 luck overall, which should make him fairly accurate. And he's got 3,869 HP, also quite significant. Not massive, but I think he'll definitely take a hit or 2. In terms of resistances, 15 slash res, good. -5 pierce res, so there aren't many pierce users, but watch out for Oberons.
No.
And Arenaeus. Strike res 15, which is quite interesting, I think. 5 missile res and 5 magic res, both fairly common in class match. Status resists, frostbite res and confusion res at 50.
No. Frostbite rest.
And a random 10% petrify res if you face Mustadios.
Massadio's still the only unit with Petrify, right?
Yep.
That's
I wonder if in the PvE there's any petrify enemies.
I don't want Petrify to be more common, but
Same.
it would really make Petrify resist feel better to have if there were more units that had the ability to do it. It would have to stay that 15% though, because it's a brutal status.
Do you have anything to say on the stats?
I mean, base 64 is impressive. Despite there being other units with that base, I mean, it's still impressive. And then like he's got like 500-ish attack too, which is he's got a pretty decently balanced stat spread, I think. And like you said, the luck and dex being what they are, yeah, definitely main character stats. Looking up here, Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Not too much to add so far.
Okay.
So looking at his passives, first one is called Your Mine. Increases agility by 12% and comes with 40 defense penetration. With EX, it gets upgraded to Take Your Heart, which adds a 15% AoE resistance. So right now, with his master ability, he's got 20 if you use this passive. And looking at his other passives, he's got, aside from the Nightblade Mastery and the 2 Gunner passives, he's also got Gun Boost, which is increased range by 1, increased missile attack by 12. And you'll see in his main kit, he actually has some missile attacks. So increasing his range is actually a good idea if you want to. But Nightblade Mastery has that 25 accuracy. So from all of these passives, all of them are very good. And I wouldn't know. I would probably do Take Your Heart and Nightblade Mastery. But all the other ones have good, valid reasons for you to use them.
I feel like sorry, I was gonna say one comment. I feel like Gun Boost is what we wish Missile Mastery has been this whole time.
Yeah.
Like we'll sacrifice a little bit of the damage to get that extra range attached to a damage passive. Like it's so insane when we see either collaboration units or EX upgrades that just kind of fix these like old shitty passives, and to make them more sort of balanced out and help more than just damage is often not what we go for like we want. Other interesting effects attached. So what a great skill. I don't know all of his missile attacks yet because I've not looked super detailed to his kit yet, but I'm kind of excited to see what this enables. Anyway, sorry, you can continue.
For his reactive, he's got a 20% chance to reduce any damage by 30%. His alternatives are counter swing and counter shot. I would personally go defensive.
I was gonna say alternatives. It's definitely Rebel Soul.
Yeah. Main skills. So Ambush, his cheap skill, 6 cast, 14 AP, has 4 range. He moves to the target, 121 mod, and restores 25 CT for self.
What?
Which is quite nice. Second skill is a self buff, full power, 40% attack buff, and decreases his own hate by 6. So good for auto, and 40% attack is nice to have. Swift Strike is similar to Kotetsu-like range at 165 mod. Also decreases attack and magic by 39%. It does cost 34 AP, but remember he has the 15 AP cost reduction, so that should cost about 29, give or take. His next one, We Have to Survive, is a very good one. It's a cross AoE on himself. It gives Protect AoE, and also gives him a 35% damage barrier, so similar to Machiry's TMR. The barrier is just for himself, but AoE Protect is something we don't usually see. It does mean you have to run him at 50 faith. And if you have any 30 faith allies on the field, you may need, it won't proc 100% of the time. But still a very good skill. Next skill is similar to a gunner skill in that you can't hit 2 squares next to you, but has 3 to 6 range or 5 range?
I think it's 5 total.
Yeah, 3 to 5 range. So this is one of his missile skills, and decreases defense by 30, and has a 200 mod on it. It does get an EX upgrade, which also reduces the counter chance by 100 before dealing damage. His final skill is a Gaion.
It's like they misspelled Igaion. It's like and you reused a name.
3 range, breaks barriers and 200 mod, It's also typeless. So looking back at his skills, he's got some slash attacks, he's got a missile attack, and he's got a typeless attack, which is, well, really flexible, is really good.
I like that the defense break on the one-shot kill is also before the damage, as well as the counter chance. So it's cool that, not I guess who's evasive? I guess Engelbert is like tanky and evasive, but in the event that somehow he dodges you, you still get the defense to support your team on that, which is pretty cool. Now it's kind of a non-bow with the defense pen, right? Like you'd rather, like I'm sure the defense pen is after the defense break, but I mean it's still really good to go for 3 turns, so I'm not gonna complain about that too much.
And you don't normally see like decreased defense with a 200 mod skill, unless it's
especially
on a limit
30
break.
Actually, right? Like normally it's like 20, 25 or something. This one's like actually 30 plus the mod. That's crazy. Yeah.
So this is one of the main reasons why you run range up passives over Nightblade Mastery, just for playing safely using this skill. And then if you look at his limit burst, that's also a missile attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 range, cross AoE, increases defense penetration by 30. Also 200 mod skill, and also 100% hit chance. So it gives him another AoE on a missile attack. You can increase his range, and yeah, very nice damage.
That's 70 defense pen, I think, across his kit too, because you're gonna have that 40% passive and plus this thing, so 70% with 100% hit, 20 mod, and if you hit him with the defense thing before that, they've Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, for those, just looking at those skills, he's got already a lot of damage, and if he gets close enough, he's got multiple damage types, so you can't really stop him, and with enough defense penetration as well. So even if you have, so you can't really stop him with defense, and you can't really stop him with type resists. So yeah, really strong main kit.
Yeah, I think just real quick, we'll mention the. Were you gonna go over the sub jobs and stuff too, like the 12 skills? Okay.
Yep. So sub job is unique sub job Dream Needle, 25% chance to inflict sleep, 170 mod. It's a very close range slash attack, so only 2 range. I don't know if it's worth increasing his faith for that sleep chance. And his other skill is called Snap, 165 missile attack, 3 to 4 range, and 25% chance of confusion. So yeah, that's all of his unique stuff. In terms of which sub job would you choose, so you've got Wildcard, which I just mentioned, Nightblade, and Gunner. On Nightblade, you get Maiming Slash as a job 12 skill. Or for Gunner, you get Double Shot.
Yeah, I think. I guess I'll. Do you have comments about what you would do first?
Yeah. So I would probably choose Nightblade. So in one of the JP tournaments that I saw, that I saw a few months ago, it was a no TMR tournament, and one of the things that they did with Joker, they used the protect stuff, they used range passives, but they also used AP drain on one of their own allies.
I love that skill.
Yeah.
Wait, on their own ally? Oh shit!
Just at the start of the battle, AP drain an ally. Just because there was no TMRs. So if you have bells on someone else, it's a possible strategy.
That's interesting.
Gunner is another valid option for aimed fire. But as for the other skills, I would probably be choosing Gunner just for aimed fire, considering his main job one-shot kill is just so powerful. And those are my thoughts.
Yeah, so the Nightblade, yeah, AP Drain was what I was kind of looking at too. And I know Daniel, you're a big fan of the AP Drain skills as well. I think having that option is another way to win. Like, 'cause sometimes you just come up against a weird team that just has some crazy mitigation against you, and you have to find a status or some way to stop them from sort of walling you out. Not that I think this unit in particular is going to have that issue, just because he does have he's got slash damage, he's got missile, he's got the typeless, especially is going to be helpful for what I'm talking about. But just having the AP drain as another way to attack an opponent in general seems pretty valuable. I've mentioned it a couple podcasts ago, but I've definitely lost some class matches recently because while they weren't doing a lot of damage to me, they just drained my AP and I couldn't do anything the rest of the match. I basically got locked out because it was 1v2 and AP drain was not great for me. I think though I could see a world where someone's using like the gun boost and maybe concentrate and like trying to like do some like weird missile chainy stuff. Maybe if he's on like a mixed team or something, then he gets in close and can use his other stuff. But I will tend to agree that 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna be on Nightblade for him. Plus just having the missile res as well is nice. Like just double resist, such a good skill. He gets maiming slash as his job 12, which I think we almost, we're greedy and we'd like to see the drain skill more than the decrease healing. But decrease healing can be super relevant, especially if the class match map doesn't do that for us. And plus, yeah, I mean we have double shot down here. I think if this was arm shot, it might be a little more enticing, but it's not. So, Zenith is saying maybe slash also his strongest slash tech. That yeah, that's true as well. And it's AoE, which is not irrelevant. It's pretty good. Hey, slash, they're spinning slash is a higher mod there. Zenith. No, the range on that's not nearly as good. But Daniel, what are your thoughts sort of on Joker as a whole?
Yeah, so I have a few. First, like I just want to mention first of all, like uh, I don't know if you guys have really noticed his damage mods, but I think overall, like he's the kind of unit, the dark unit, like you have to take seriously for his damage output. It's like he's on par with like Ruin Knight Stern's damage output. It looks like. I went back and looked at Stern's like base attack, Ruin Knight Stern's base attack, and like his damage mods, and like overall, it looks like Joker might actually like surpass him. But obviously you'd have to think about slash mods and like vision cards and stuff like that. So but I think he's really comparable to Rune Knight Stern's damage output, like I said. So that and the fact that he can be built like really accurate and his guaranteed hit LB and stuff, like he can be a terror on the battlefield even from range. So I think he's a big problem. He presents a big problem to the current meta right now, I think. One thing I wanted to mention was like his ambush, starting skill. Like, not only is it 4 range, but it's 3 range height. And I like JB also noticed this. That's really strange to see on a slash attack. Normally, it's like maybe range height 1. So that's really interesting. Like, I don't think he's really gonna suffer too much from height variations. Um, I think maybe more so like his gunner skills, because like they're generally, I don't want to say gunner, like his range skills are generally like range height 1, I think. Um like you mentioned, like in his Nightblade sub job, like his job 12 skill, like thankfully it's not Drain Rush. Because like um uh, something that's kind of always on my radar for these collab units or limited units is like how impactful they are in multiple areas of the game. But like even PvE aside, like if you had Drain Rush to build like those stacks, those slash chains, I don't know why I keep calling them stacks. You guys called me out for that recently. uh like he would have like high damage and the opportunity to build up chains on like tanks. Like Engelbert just does not seem like he's gonna last too long against this guy. Fucking 70 defense pen. That's crazy. um
Yeah.
let's see something else. I think he got the the best skills of the gunner job. I think like he's missing like arm shot, I think. I don't remember if that's the job another job 12 skill, but
Yeah, it would have been.
double shot for the two hit, aimed fire, even sidewinder from the distance. Something else I wanted to mention, like because his LB is a missile attack, it seems like it's going to be affected by range upgrades. So the LB originally is range 4, but you can increase that by up to 4. And the fact that it's also across AoE, like one of Frederica's worst skills is her LB because it's single target and it's got a crappy effect. But on the other end of the spectrum, like here's Joker's LB, which is just fucking crazy, and the fact that it's also an AoE is just like almost insult to injury, except for it's double the injury. There was like a couple other things. Something I wanted to mention, like Vinny, or actually both of you guys, do you have any frame of reference for like the Persona 5 game? Do you guys have you played any of the Persona games?
The most I know about Joker and Persona 5 is that he's in Smash Bros. And I fought against him there. Like that's all I know about the game franchise.
Gotcha. Yeah, so
But no,
generally, like
Vinny,
you guys
what
know,
about?
like I'm all about like
Well,
integrity of the story.
I was gonna say, Vinny, do you?
I'm sorry.
I played some of the, I think it's like Shin Megami Tensei games on the DS, but it's like same franchise but different series. That's about it.
So I'm always looking for like the meaning behind the names, you know? And apparently there's a lot of collab reference here. Not just in this job 25 skill, but like we have to survive full power, you know, these uh like there's a reason why they use those. So it's kind of a cool nod to the fans, you know, even if we don't really know that much about the franchise. So that I feel like that's notable enough. I feel like there was one other thing, but I can't think of it, so I lost it. um, yeah, the I think one of the biggest decisions to make is like what passives to use. Like, are you going to invest in his range to make his like LB and his range skills that much more potent, or are you going to try to focus on you know, higher agility, more defense pen, more accuracy, like, or are you going to choose like a hybrid version, like maybe just go for concentrate and like his unique passive for like an even mix, you know?
Yeah, I
um
mean, there's at least 3 different combinations I could see myself using
yeah,
depending on the situation. It's yeah,
like
very very good
it's one of
passives.
those units that he has a lot of good passives that makes it hard to decide. Um, Thankfully, you don't have to decide his. Oh, the last thing I was trying to think of, his reactions. Like he gets a sword guard, which is cool, but I'm just so fucking glad he doesn't get a reflex
Oh
because
my god, yeah.
he's like he seems like the biggest ranged unit of the three. And my god, if he got reflex, I would just be almost triggered
Well,
by like how good he is, you know.
and when I
Uh,
was reading this, I saw Rebel, and for some reason that just makes me think of like, fuck
Rebel
you,
Yell.
right? Like fuck the system. And then I saw a chance to counter all damage. I was like, oh no. And then I read the effect. It's like, oh
Right.
thank God, it's not a reflex. Yeah, it's definitely glad we don't get another collaboration unit with reflex. I'm slowly getting more and more tilted about Locke, and what he does,
Right.
and I'm just very glad we get a collab without that. But well, I guess I don't know Violet yet, but
So I guess in closing, if you're still on the fence about whether to try to get Joker, I feel like he's gonna have an impact on the meta. So like if you don't want to invest in him, like you better prepare to figure out how to beat him, you know? So like he's just one of those like swing units, you know? And I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
I guess while we're on Joker talking about Rebel, he does have a weapon Rebel knife. I guess I'll do the weapons at least while you guys talk about the units. These so we have the assault aim and crit versions. The aim is a 15. God, I wish these were higher, like so they match Alex rings or whatever. But maybe it's I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. I don't know. Anyway, effect wise, up to +5. It gives you slash and missile 10. Super good for Joker. As we talked about, he does have both damage types. It's equipable by anybody that can equip a dagger. My first thought though, Rafal can use this, and Rafal has missile attacks and slash attacks. So that's pretty dope. And then JB said in chat too, Venera. I guess actually a lot of the like assassin-y units do have missile subs. That's interesting. So that's not a trend I've picked up on before, but that's cool. 197 is a huge flat attack amount as well. Now, would I want 12 crit? Probably not, especially at a loss of like 25% of its attack. Or I guess 20%. I don't know, but 15 accuracy. Is this aim good enough? So we used to have this rule of thumb where we'd want like 20 in any of these like auxiliary stats in order to think about them. But is that too aggressive? Like, is 15 good enough to consider this, or if we want accuracy, are we just investing somewhere else hard enough that this is just irrelevant?
I think as the evasion gap widens, you have to compensate more in the accuracy department. So yeah, I don't really think the loss of 60 attack um, is worth the minimal. Like I think it gets halved or something if you have another accuracy item.
So you have like
I can
7, right?
look at it. So yeah, it doesn't seem that impactful.
JB is saying if you're using aim trust stones, he thinks it gets halved no matter what. Aim trust stones would do, they give you the set bonus, which stacks with everything, right? And then you would have the accuracy. Oh, because the accuracy stat is higher on the flat value of the trust stones, right? Okay. So yeah, I guess with that in mind, yeah, these look extra shit. To be honest, like you can get the flat accuracy on those items pretty high. I think it's like 22 or something. Based on if you roll the max accuracy on all of them plus have, how did mine, I think mine got up to 22 and I don't remember how.
Weird.
Oh, the item already had it. Sorry, the item had base. That's what it was. Never mind, it's not 22. But, boy. Yeah, so we're just going assault on this? So is that the general consensus here? Okay. Vinny, any thoughts about this, or is that pretty much?
With regards to the passive effects, you got 10 slash and 10 missile, which is the same amount as rune bonuses or rune passives, which I don't really like.
Yeah.
You don't like the passives, or you don't like this having the same as the rune passives?
I feel like like if you compare it to a normal dagger, why not have a different dagger with 15 slash attack and then put 10 missile attack on a rune? So you're getting like I mean, it does save a passive slot. Yeah, I think there are better passive effects.
Or you just go lock stagger and have 90 defense pen with the LB.
Yeah.
That's probably, I guess, actually, yeah. I would see Trust Stone slash and missile damage and then lock stagger.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
All right. Any last thoughts on Joker? Chat, if anybody has any comments as well while we're still on Joker, feel free to throw them out there.
I had two
Finny.
thoughts.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I said you can't really block his damage. If he's going for like really ranged, like going full into his range stuff, you can block him with missile resistance. And he has to get close to you in order to use his type ignoring stuff. Which may make a difference. I don't know. And my other thought was that with regards to passives, you don't actually know what passives he's running if you're approaching him in class match, because normally against Frederica, you can, if you count the squares on her threat range, you can see what passive she's running plus the 2 or 3 range. But with Joker, his basic attack range is just 1. So until he tries to shoot you, only then can you actually know if he's running concentrate or gun boost.
So glad you mentioned that, because I was about to. Like in the beginning of the match, when you're taking into consideration everything that the other team can do, it's one of those things that you can't actually notice. So yeah, it's almost like he's hiding a gun behind, like on the inside, like there's like a cloak above it, and like he's
shoots
like,
it through his jacket.
Gotcha. Yeah. But as far my last thought on the rebel knife, yeah, it kind of sucks that they're 10 mods and not 15. But at the same time, I think JB mentioned this as well. Like, um, because of his because of his slash and missile attacks, I think that would increase the amount of like pen you want. Like whether or not you want to use defense pen between using lockstag or this, and like whether you want to look for missile res pen and slash res pen for passives. Um, I think that is something to take into account. Like um, adding another passive to like the weapon means that you can remove that passive from runes and look for like more penetration or more survivability or something. So I don't know if I really dislike it that much. I have one question, and it may not be that fair because we've
Mhm.
literally just got these units. But do you guys? Does anything jump out to you for like a way to counter Joker?
No. That's it.
It
I
remains
haven't
to
given
be
it
seen
any thought. Yeah, I have no thoughts about it yet.
now. Okay.
Don't Yeah, nothing really. Yeah, apart from like maybe building missile res and hoping he uses up all his AP on you before he engages.
Y-
Um,
y-
but
Yeah, I
nah,
guess
not really.
that would be the closest would be building resistance types and then having like force him to get in close because he does not have much in the way of slash pen or missile pen or anything. So
Yeah.
I mean
Um,
that's got to be it, right? Or the old classic, just like disable him and move on.
yeah, so I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that he doesn't have any kind of imperil. Because basically it depends on like whether or not you know you're going to be facing him, but or like a dark team. But if dark teams become like are reintroduced, but more into the meta, um, just like stacking dark resistance, if nothing else. 120 Sakura, let's go. the because like we don't really see fucking, clerics or even green mages. Like we don't see like the light veils or the dark veils really that much. But I know Sakura had like that one buff that increased like was it lightning, light, and dark or something resistance. Um, I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like I kind of when there's no other like alternative, like I always default to like building element resistance as a way to counter these
Yep,
uncounterable units, you know?
same. I do like mental resist. Like even on like trust stones, I was thinking about like I wonder if there's a world where if you don't care about a unit doing much besides being a damage soak, like you just build like 5 different element resists along with like HP up or something and just go with that instead of trying to guess what type of attack they're gonna do.
That's actually what I was thinking for like tank runes.
I don't know if it's good because I'd have to look at what else there is, and I still don't have all this stuff memorized. So there's probably something I'm forgetting where someone's like, "Oh, you idiot, you gotta have this." Like they're probably right, but I'm not thinking about it right
Oh, you
now.
idiot.
And real quick, I want to move on to Violet. Definitely a long time on Joker here, but we just mentioned what the TMR does, I suppose. So Joker replica mask is an accessory with 296 HP, 10 spirit, 12 accuracy. Uh, Decent spread, nothing crazy, but as I mean, I almost don't even like looking at the TMR HPs and stuff now because this number just like skyrockets when you put trust stones on him now. But the skill itself is called Pinch Anchor. A very interesting combination of words. It's a buff centered on self and across AoE. It increases slash attack 15 for allies, missile attack 15 for allies, and also AoE resist for allies. So I assume this all affects him as well. Um, 28 TP, one use. Both attack types 15 and then AoE 15 is pretty sweet. Um, there's no crazy like defense pen or any other sort of resistance penetration here. No AP regen, so it's like a very fair ability. I think, yeah, I mean it's decent. I mean I wouldn't build him just for it, but be a cool tool to have. Any like application things you guys can think of real quick? No,
Um,
from Vinny. All right.
he's got a notable 12 accuracy on there, so like on top of runes, it'll push above 20, I think.
Sure, sure.
Which further invalidates the aim
Yeah.
rebel knife, you know. 10 spirit is kind of unexpected, honestly, and it's kind of nice.
Nix, he doesn't
Um,
have any like built-in defense or spirit, right? No, he
I'm just
doesn't.
glad it's not
Good.
like two uses.
But all right, moving on to Violet. Daniel, you want to take us into this?
Yeah, I'll take it away. So yeah, Violet, the next light evade unit besides like Locke and Elena and to a lesser extent the other light evade units. Um,
The evade tanks.
so yeah, so all of these, all the Persona 5 collab units are cost 90 and are limited, obviously. And like Vinny mentioned, like they have Gunner sub jobs, which I think is pretty cool. Like a nod to the like again to the franchise and to the fans. Um, base move 4 and base jump 2 is really interesting on her, especially because you can increase her mobility even more. We'll get into that later on. She uses hat, cloth, and accessory. So again, she can use like the Santa Claus or Sage's hat or whatever. So you don't have to worry about her lack of like evade gear choices. Um, her massive ability, besides the light party effects, she increases evasion by only 5 and increases run attack by 15%. Her TMR is called Violet Replica Mask. I think they're all like replicas. The was Joker's the mask as well? Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're
all
all replica
yeah,
masks.
yeah.
Yep.
It's an interesting take. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but
I think that's gameplay
yeah, yeah. So
based.
182 HP. This one has defense and evade on it, and critical evade of 12 as well. Um, because it's so weird. Like the rune system just changes everything about TMR stats. So like even something as low as like 12 evade can just be boosted to like over 20 or something. Like I can't even remember. I think is it over? Can you increase it by like up to 30 or something? I don't know. That seems like too much, but
So I don't
um,
want to answer because I don't know.
yeah, yeah, I'm struggling. Like I'm still trying to get a handle of the actual numbers. Generally, it seems like 8s for like accuracy and evade from what I remember, but it could be a little bit more. Anyways, the TMR skill, it's called Veil of Midnight. Restores AP by 20 by up to 20 for whoever uses it, and decreases chance of being targeted by 6 for whoever uses it. It's only 1 cast and 24 TP, which is a decent AP generator. Could be more, but it's interesting how they tacked on the AP restore to like the effect of like a hide skill. Um, I'm not honestly sure. Like, I feel like this might help evade units, but I don't know if you want to be using that over things that increase your ability to evade better.
I mean, it's only relevant for PVE, right? Like it's because
Yeah,
it has to
it
do with
seems
hate
like
mechanics. So
or auto PvP. Like when you actually have to take into account like hate values and stuff. Um, I like reading the lore, but we don't have to get into that.
no, we're not now.
So it's interesting. Like we mentioned before, like this is another unit with base agility 64. Next, same as Joker and same as Corwell. She gets 8 agility from her board though, bumping her up to 72, which is similar to Nivlu is up to 61. So she actually, just from base agility and board, I think she has the highest, without any consideration of passives. Like 72 is like the highest, but it's not really that big of a consideration because like
Mm,
if you have agility passives, you're probably going to be using them. So that just throws everything like it skews everything out of proportion. She does have a notable attack value, I think. Um, it's not as high. Like Rune Knight Stern is kind of who I like look to as far as like just straight attack value. I know like Shadow Links. I know there's others that have higher base attack, but 365 attack is pretty notable. I think like she can still be kind of a monster when it comes to physical DPS. Her dex is 214 base and luck is 177 base. Those are
Jesus.
also pretty notable. They get up to 260 and 280 after everything's said and done on the board. Um, so yeah, obviously the new hotness in terms of light evade is going to have an impact on the evade meta. Um, Moving on to her resistances. So she gets 10 slash res, 15 strike res, and 5 magic res. And she has a vulnerability to piercing attack, which is -10 resistance. Her status ailments, she has resistance to stop and blind, which I really like, and also a 10% resistance to immobilize. Um, Anytime I see a disable 50 or stop 50 or even like obviously charm 50, it's like, yes, one less thing to have to worry about. And I do like the blind res because it sucks when, especially when you're a evade unit, like you've taken advantage of the duality of the luck stat, where it's like you get accuracy and evasion, but it sucks when you miss. So like the fact that she doesn't have to worry about blind, except for maybe Winter Victoria getting like the base. I don't know what is it like
67.
17% chance after this.
Yeah.
Um, it's nice. It kind of checks one of those boxes.
Yeah, 570 attack is ridiculous. I'm just looking at this, like, I've just been staring at these numbers. Like, 570 attack, 72 agility with a crazy high lux. Like, what the fuck? Um, and then I also think it's funny that now it's 2 units in this collaboration. They have 15 strike res. Is this just to, like, further push Queen down into, like, the fucking depths of people's desire to like use her as a unit? I've seen so much shit talked about Queen, and both units resist her
Well, it's
damage type
interesting.
highly.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because like
It's
I
like,
don't
yeah, they're gonna counter the free unit.
I don't really know like how often the situation is going to be where you're going to be using these against each other, like more than Joker or Violet. Like using Queen against either of them, it just seems like something's already gone wrong. You know?
Yeah, it's just a funny trend
Yeah,
because
yeah. It is
we've been
the
seeing a lot of
trend.
negative strike, and now we're seeing
Yeah.
like strike resist, and it just so happens that they're alongside a strike unit. So yeah, it's just a weird trend.
Moving on to support skills. Again, she's one of those units. Obviously, it's a collab unit that has a bunch of good support or passives. So her main job passives are Grace and Poise, which increase attack 24% and crit rate by 15. And her other one is Null Curse, which I find interesting. Like it's generally like a white mage skill where you nullify doom and instant death on yourself. I think that's obviously a PVE nod, so you don't really have to consider it. But the fact that she does have that, you know, who knows when that'll ever be relevant in PvP, you know, monks. So
I real quick a note. I just went and checked. White mages actually don't get to resist instant death, so
yeah,
this is
they just
actually
get the
it's an
martial
upgraded version
resist.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So from her duelist job, she gets the duelist lore we all know and love, whether or not we love it or not. It's defense pen 40 and evasion 12. Um, and the other one is fatal blade work, which increases crit rate by 15 and crit damage by 20. So you can really build her crit rate up to 30 with grace and poise and fatal blade work. So if you're really trying to do that, like like you can easily reach like 100% crit, I think. And then of course she gets the gunner sub, so she gets concentrate, which um, you know, obviously range 2 decreases evade, as well as missile mastery, which I think is probably the least impactful, just the same like as Joker, you know. Um, don't know if you really want to be decreasing her evade, but like if you really want to make her like missile attacks count, then you probably want to use concentrate similar to Joker. Um, so departing from the Joker perspective, her reactions are way better. Well, at least two of them. She gets counter shot, unfortunately, from Gunner, but the she gets the duelist Mirage feint, where it's a preemptive 30% chance, so it's the Aeon Bonds chance to decrease accuracy by 25 for 3 turns at 3 range and range height of 1. But I think one of the most well-known skills for her that like we've been paying attention to since she came out in JP is her main job reaction, which is called payback time, and it gets upgraded to a perfect 10. It's interesting, like it's like she's a rhythmic gymnast, so it's like it's one of those like nods to the story. Basically, this is a like preemptive reaction. Oh no, it's not preemptive, is it? Um,
No, it's not.
Basically, it happened like whenever she evades a hit, a physical hit, that's very important. That she reacts every time she evades, she reacts with a physical hit. It's only a 121 mod, but the fact that it's 4 range and a range height of 1, it's just insane. I think in terms of just how often you're expecting her to evade. Um, it's the upgrade is it increases her slash res pen by up to 30 just for that like the reactive hit, which is still like slash res pen of 30 is like it's always going to be impactful. So, and you're probably going to have her at 120 if you're using her. So that's definitely a consideration. I think um, diving a little bit more into this before we continue, I think whether which one you use depends on like I guess how often you're expecting to evade. I think it's an important consideration. Like if you're not worried about the enemy's like accuracy, um, or if you know like you have guaranteed hits or whatever to worry about, then maybe keep a perfect 10 on. But if you're worried about like how accurate they are, maybe you want to use Mirage Fate instead, because if you're not evading, you're not making full use of the reactions. So that's definitely something to think about. What do you guys think?
Um, just in general, the reaction's insane. Like
Yeah,
it's really
I
cool.
just I want to make sure to
I
note that like
I
it's
was
not a given. It's not just like you're always going to take reflex.
yeah, I mean it's just it's such a man giving that range to because you did say the way it's worded, it's every single time she fades, right?
Yeah,
Like it's just like I appreciate the design space, like that they're kind of venturing out and trying new like trigger conditions for things. This one might be a little much, but
yeah.
it's very very cool. I I guess I asked myself, yeah, like if this was if she had reflex and she had this, I actually might consider still using this over a reflex. Like this is such an interesting ability. I think I read this incorrectly the first time. It's yeah, that's a really cool ability. I don't really have any like profound thoughts on it. It's really cool.
There's a weird caveat with it. Imagine playing against a Violet and you're about to attack her, and you see the hit percent chances like 15%. So what you're looking at is a 85% chance of her hitting you back.
Right.
So you wouldn't attack her, would you?
That is an
So
interesting gambit to run. Yeah, that's
yeah,
ooh, that's uncomfortable. I
You
don't
might
like
you
that.
want to you might want to consider using a ranged dark unit or something.
yeah.
You have to have
But
5
then,
range though, like to be outside of that.
but what getting at is it if the opponent knows that you've got perfect 10 on and won't ever attack you with physical attacks if they know they're going to miss, that means you're never getting value out of perfect 10.
I think you're getting
If
value
that
out
makes
of
sense.
them not using their abilities. Uh, like they'd have to have a
True.
magic unit coming at you, right? Like if they just choose not to hit you, then you have 100% reflex. Like you're not taking any damage.
Yeah, I get they'd only attack. The only way for that to proc then would be if they had a small chance of hitting you, or some chance of hitting you with a physical attack. Otherwise, it's not getting value, is it? In a
Well,
weird way.
what I'm saying is the value is like you're telling if they choose not to attack you, you got the value out of it because they didn't even attempt to hit you.
Yeah.
Like
True.
they just
Yeah.
basically time walk themselves. They skip their turn essentially. I mean, they're gonna go buff and do something else useful, hit another unit, but like
Mm.
the deterrent, right? Like it's like she's wearing like a spiky armor and they don't want to like touch you because it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Like so
Okay.
there's like we'll go over here, and I think if she's and it looks like she's going to, if she has the ability to kill units and they don't deal with her, then she's gonna just get like that. That is inherently valuable. I think. I
Yeah.
do understand what you're saying though. Like it's you won't necessarily get the hit back, so you won't get to see this like killing everybody that attacks her. But I think the fact that she gets ignored is valuable.
So, something that chat is bringing up, and like, I'm so glad that we've moved to like a live audience, because this is like really notable. Like, one of the best ways to counter this, besides staying out of its range while you're attacking, is if you're using a multi-hit. Because if even one of those hits lands, then it still only counts as one skill landing, so it's not going to proc. So
So
that's
I
really
was
interesting.
I was reading that comment. I didn't like it because he says invalidates, and I don't like that word because it doesn't invalidate it. Because if you dodge all 3, it still works, right?
Yeah. So like
So
you have to have a decent enough chance to hit that like you want to risk it, right?
right. So I understand if what that was meant to say is that, they are good against this because it's like counter, that's cool. I didn't see enough discussion until just now. Now it's the chat is populated a little bit.
Right.
For me to comments, I wasn't sure, but I thought he was saying like it invalidates it. Like, oh, if you use a multi-hit skill, this doesn't even trigger. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense with the way it's written. But yeah, I mean, counterplay is certainly something that you know, we like to talk about. So that's useful.
And obviously, um, it's just physical hits. So like any magical hits, even it's like even if it's like a fucking Spellblade's taunting spell. I don't know why I just thought of that randomly, but it's notable that it's only physical. I feel like that is the most important aspect to this. Like if you're trying to hit Violet, try to use a magic attack, like I don't know, Black Rose Helena or something. Um, But yeah, anyways, moving on to her main job skills. We start off with grace! Exclamation point. Uh, damage mod 175, which is surprising, honestly. 16 AP, forecasts, just range of one, range height of one. Um, that doesn't that's kind of surprising. Like the range is so low, but she has a bunch of other range attacks. But yeah, the damage seems like I usually expect like the bread and butter, like the first level, like job level skills to be like lower mod, for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, so the 175 there is interesting. The other one is Brave Step, which increases her crit rate and crit damage by 25 for 3 turns. Two casts on that with 20 TP. Um, just helps her. It's a steroid that helps her do what she does even better, right? Um, her job 7 skills are Allow Me, which is a defense break of 30 for 3 turns before the damage mod, which is 165. It's 25% chance to proc Paralyze, obviously up to 80% chance for paralysis if it lands for 3 turns when performing a critical hit. That's very important. But let's be honest, she's probably going to be landing a crit. It's interesting that it's a two hit attack. It's got forecasts with 25 AP. Um, yeah, so chances are you're probably going to be seeing this a lot. Her next skill is Vorpal Blade, which gets upgraded to Vorpal Blade. Yay.
It doesn't even get a name
Um,
upgrade or anything.
so it goes from 2 casts to 3 casts, same cost, 34 AP, which is a significant chunk. But it's a damage mod 165, but if it connects, if it hits, it decreases AP by 15 on a critical hit, and it restores AP to herself by 10 as long as it crits. And it's got that burst AoE that I like to call burst AoE. Range of 3, range height of 1, AoE height of 1. So it's that interesting Kotetsu that thankfully isn't in a straight line, like Gilgamesh's is on this. Is that the one that got upgraded, or is that like Lastwell's Blade Flash or whatever? I can't remember if Kotetsu is still in a
For
straight
what?
line, but I think it is.
Kotetsu definitely is a straight line.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is
So
for an upgrade. I don't know.
So it's nice that it's not or yeah, I guess restrained to like a linear attack. Um, eh, so next up is her job 12 skill, Dazzla Cendrillon. I wish I knew more about the game because I don't know who Cendrillon is. Maybe I should have researched it a little bit more. Anyways, so this is cross AoE centered on herself, 3 casts 32 TP, where she grants herself and her allies the chance to restore CT by up to 15 when performing a critical hit. As well as this, it's an evade buff for herself by up to 25. So it's basically like a samurai illusion.
Does this
Um,
work on multi hits? Like, does it give multiple CT?
no,
I don't think it
but
does. No.
if what?
I don't think it does. No.
Yeah, no. It's one of those things where if you crit once, then it'll
Right.
restore the CT.
It's a
But
conditional.
obviously,
Yeah. Okay.
obviously, it'll benefit with multi hits because if even one of them are a crit, then it counts. So yeah, this is a really interesting, unique buff that we haven't really seen yet. That I can recall. I think this is the first one where you have the chance to buff yourself and your allies to increase crit or CT on a crit. So that's pretty cool. I'm kind of glad that her evasion buff isn't as high as like a Shadowcast, 42. The fact that it's just like an illusion 25 means that like maybe her evasion total isn't as high as it could be. Her job 25 skill is crazy. It's basically a courage. It's called It Can't End Yet. She gets one cast at 29 TP, and yeah, she gives herself courage. So get her to 120 as soon as you can, because obviously any unit with courage is something that you're going to have to take into account. And it's one of those things where it feels bad when you lose track of it, or like if you miss it, like if you look away from the match and you miss the buff, like you have to like check her
I've
stat
done
thing.
that.
Yeah, you have to like check and see, like, did she get courage or did she buff something else? So it feels bad when you think you have the game, but then the courage procs, and you're like, oh, I
It's
lose. I'm so
it's
terrible.
almost scarier when you look and it's not there. You're like, well, what the fuck did they do instead?
Right.
It's like I don't even know. Real quick, one comment from the chat. She said he's listening to us in the background, and he thought the name of Vorpal Blade was actually Vorpal Blade. Yay! because the names are like these
He's so
exclamations.
excited about gymnastics.
Oh man. Anyway,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. So I guess her. So the thing is about these characters is that like when they take their masks off, they summon their personas, and I
Right.
guess so her persona, like the name is Sandrillon, and I guess so that must mean Joker's is I Gaion.
Yeah, I believe
I
that's the case.
Gaion. I don't know. That's really interesting. So I think I'm gonna have to look back on Queen later on and see if she calls out to her persona in the same way. Anyways, moving on to her main or her sub jobs. So her main sub job. Anybody else find it weird that her job is just called Faith?
It is a little weird. I don't like when they reuse game mechanics as other terms,
Yeah,
because it gets
exactly.
confusing to talk about. But I mean, it's whatever. Um, yeah, not a
So,
fan. But
so her main sub job skills are Don't Forget the Pose, which is a 3 hit damage mod 131, which is anytime they get these weird damage mods, it's like, huh? But it's only 18 AP and she gets 3 casts of it. So I mean, there's a PvE consideration, or like if you're trying to remove a physical barrier, whatever. She has access to that. The other skill she has is Bless Boost, which is just a straight 35 light attack for 3 turns. 2 casts at 20 TP. So she's not really lacking on like TP skills that generate AP. And especially considering the fact that she has Vorpal Blade, which just the crazy Kotetsu range, the ability to affect more than one unit, like decreasing their AP, even though you don't restore more than 10 to yourself. It's got the same kind of um, I guess like I don't want to say gas mileage, but
yes,
lasting factor that like Locke has with his AP hunt. It's AP hunt, right?
yeah, fuck that
Where
skill.
like it's one of those dynamics where like she's more efficient with her AP total than you might otherwise expect. Like if you give her 30 AP and she's going to make more use out of it than like a normal unit would, just like Locke. So I find that interesting. I believe she's the second duelist. She might be the third duelist that we've seen. I think Halloween Frederica was like the first main job duelist, right? Is that the first
Yes.
time that we've seen that job?
I
I'm
want
struggling
to
to
say
think.
there
I think
might be another unit, but I can't think of who it
yeah,
was.
I think Violet is the second duelist job that we've seen, even though it's a sub job. So we can't really I can't really say with much like veracity like what the other job 12 skills are, but she gets ready to engage, which is the AoE resist and across AoE buff to herself and her allies, that restores AP by 10 when performing a critical hit. Again, just really impactful in terms of managing AP and to a lesser extent CT, like so that like you can get it off first or whatever. Um, as we've seen with Cloud, since obviously since Cloud was released, like the whole restoring AP on hit, even if it's a crit, is just is really impactful for like not running out of gas by the end of the match. Um, I think it's interesting to note that she gets both defensive footwork and offensive footwork. which is something I think that Halloween Frederica didn't have. She had to have it on her main sub job. So the fact that she gets both, um, she is in Violet. It's the same 25 evade buff, but she also gets that 20 single target resistance, the unit resistance, both for 3 turns. So you might actually look at, I guess, buffing both, because the evade buff as well as the CT buff is interesting for her main job 12 skill with the restoring CT on crit. But if you manage to get in the unit resistance as well, if you're using the sub duelist, I think um, that's an interesting uh, that's an effective strategy, I think, for keeping her alive. Anyways, so the other thing I wanted to note is that she also gets Displacer, which decreases accuracy if it hits by 25. And so she basically, I think she gets a lot of the good duelist skills, which she didn't really need, which just makes her that much more scary. She gets obviously she gets the gunner sub. Her job 12 skill is vital shot. She still gets aimed fire, which is nice. And she still gets sidewinder. So, but I believe Joker doesn't have vital shot. He had the double shot. And last but not least, her LB is called Sword Dance. It's a 200 mod. It's a higher. Oh wait, no, it's the crit chance is 50%. I can't remember the in-game wording, but I feel like it's a higher crit chance. Um, it's a 3-hit attack. It's only one cast, obviously. It's the LB, but it's at the cheap 43 AP that we've seen with Catone's LB. So yeah, 3 hits at 4 range and a range height of 2. That's almost like a super crazy jamming thrust, which is kind of, I don't know. I feel like that's like the default that we go to when it's like range 4 and range height of 2. It's almost a jamming thrust, but the fact that it's 3 hits at a 200 damage mod, that's just crazy. What are you guys thinking?
I have one thing to point out. Um, her reactive, a perfect 10, I believe that can also crit, which should also proc all of the crit effects.
That's insane. I didn't even think about that.
Oh man.
Thanks for pointing that out. I think I would not have noticed that until it actually happened.
Yeah, I don't have any particular comments. I mean, I think the kit's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of like trickiness to think about. It's just like, if you crit, you do extra things. You're evasive, and she has this giant AoE as an evasion unit for some reason. Like, it's very good. And obviously courage. We got to give our evasion units some sort of
Yeah,
death prevention mechanic, which is always
because
cool.
Elena, believe
Even
it.
though she does have the instant death resist in her passive, but that's. Can you imagine if this like joke moment? Can you imagine if this like stopped one shots? Like if you had 100% HP,
Oh my god,
like you can't be one shot.
that's
Like
called courage.
it's called courage, right? But imagine if like instant death was that's what that meant. I guess for
Yeah,
reference, someone in chat asked earlier if Doom was the only instant death. They're actually separate. So Doom
yeah,
is a
yeah.
status effect that counts down. You die when the countdown hits 0. Instant death is I think like a PVE mechanic where,
Yeah.
like if you've done the Odin Asperden, he has this. I think it's his Zanketsu or what's it called? Zanketsu, right?
Zantetsuken.
Dantetsu. Oh yeah, that one. Sorry, I'm mixing up. I like whenever I think of I think of Kotetsu and like that skill, and I mix them all up. Sorry, but anyway, it has an instant death like proc on it.
Same as like the Nightmare Lich.
Yeah, so it stops those sort of PvE mechanics, but I think this actually has 0 PvP implications as of now. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, yeah, her kit's I think pretty straightforward. Yeah, just a good unit all around, and her stat block is nuts too. I don't know if she's like also a main character, but I would say she has main character stats as well,
Yeah.
kind of alongside Joker. The crit stuff, I'm always curious to see if anyone runs calculations and like how high these crit chances are when you put everything on. Because it's just not a stat I really look into. I'll build it if I can, like on the side, and just benefit from it when it comes up. But I think she definitely centers around it more, so maybe she benefits from sort of working
I
on that more.
I used to have notes on when I cared about trying to calculate like Rob Horn's like crit rate versus like
Yeah.
King Elda's crit rate, like these Lancer jobs. Um, but so just purely from those, like calculating those, I feel like Violet's like comparable to like King Rob. Um, on top of just having like two crit increase like passes. I wouldn't be surprised if she could reach like 100% crit rate like pretty easily. And that's before like crit evade calculations.
But
Have
yeah.
you
So
guys
no more thoughts.
noticed um, her lack of ranged attacks outside of the gunner job
Yeah. I
compared to
th-
Joker?
I think it's purely thematic that she has it. She's definitely not centered around it.
Yeah,
She definitely leans into more of this crit based duelist evasion sort of theme. So I think that's kind of her intended sub job here. Because that's I guess the other thing. My one comment is I can't really see using the her main sub job outside of PVE because it's a great multi hit, but range one, not thrilled
yeah,
about that. I'm probably not using a turn to give myself just purely a light attack mod when I have all these other buffs that are
yeah,
gonna help trigger all these other effects. Oh, by the way, you mentioned her first skill lacked range. I think they just because of the damage mod, they're like, oh, you'll figure it out. You'll just get up close and use it that way. Um, yeah. Sorry, just distracted myself. Duelist, yeah, intended passive, gunner, thematic passive, or
imagine
sub job. Sorry.
I'm just imagining in my head like she's dancing and swirling and doing her rhythmic gymnastics, and then she fucking pulls a gun out from like nowhere and just like I don't know caps somebody.
It's like the Indiana
Um,
Jones
I,
scene, right?
yeah,
Where
like
the guy's like doing all the flourishing with the sword, blah blah. I was like gonna fight him, just pulls out the gun, and walks away.
I don't think that's what they were going for with her. So maybe that's why she doesn't have like any main job like range skills.
Just a vital shot though, so it kind of fits your head fantasy there. um, Vinny, anything to add from what we've said so far?
Um, Not
It's
really.
fine if no.
If I had to ask a question, it would be who would you choose between Locke, Eleanor, and Violet?
It's a very good question.
all three.
Yeah, that works too.
I'm like, question or instructions unclear. Choosing all
So
three.
I'm really glad that you asked that question because I was literally falling asleep last night and thinking about that exact question. I don't know why because I generally like when I'm playing the game, I'm playing the game, and when I'm doing real life stuff, then I'm just focused on that stuff. But so for some reason, I randomly thought of that question last night as I was falling asleep, and I was like, huh. I guess it depends on the situation. Like, do you need a tank to keep the heat off of the evade units, or are like do you need somebody to engage like the enemy team in a way that like your evade units aren't going to take guaranteed hits or have a less chance of taking guaranteed hits. So like if you have like a team of three evade units, like you have to consider like
Are
the
we
I
talking
mean it's
PV or PvP?
well PvP obviously. I
Okay.
mentioned the tank thing, but obviously you don't want to use tanks in live PvP really. But generally you see at least one unit on the enemy team that has like a guaranteed hit, right? Could because evade is so prevalent um, in today's meta. So um, going all in with three evade units, I don't think it's really um, advisable because you're probably going to lose one almost right off the bat because you have to engage, obviously. So I mean, unless you're going for like a pincer strategy or something,
So
or
on your
an
evade
animal.
team where evade is your strategy, you're gonna assume you're gonna lose one, and then you'll be down to just one instead of having two. Is this the plan?
I'm sorry. Can you say that
So
again?
so you're saying that it's not valuable to have three because you're just gonna lose one anyway.
Yeah,
It's like,
like
well,
by
is it then you have less after they're dead? Like, why would you not have
right,
three?
right. So like it's and by past experience, like I've tried running three evade units and it hasn't been as impactful to like a win as having another unit that's like a bruiser or somebody with more guaranteed hits, or something, somebody another unit that checks other boxes that like the evade units don't necessarily check, you know. Even like most evasion teams that we see today, and probably for like the in recent months, are like ones that have like two evade units, like maybe I don't know, Oberon or not Oberon, Zazan and Katon, and then you have like Oberon or somebody else on that Earth team, or you have obviously like Locke and Elena, or um, I can't even remember any
Like,
other light evade
I
units
just
at the
feel like the
moment. But
evasion's so powerful, and all of these have. If you have Locke, Elena, and Violet, how many lives do they have?
like six
Exactly. So like I
at
feel like
least.
you don't need a tank for these units. They just get
Yeah,
to like resist dying anyway. So it's so ridiculous that I feel like like I understand what you're saying, like having the
yeah,
bruiser, having the variety of having like a damage soak up front, but with how high evasion rates are now and how few uses, like they might get their their sure hit as you approach, but then you're not dead. They have to finish you off again, either a second time because you had re-raise or like pop your courage or something. Have enough damage to one shot you to even proc those, and then you're in their face. And these units have such high agility, like they're not
yeah.
going to lap you or anything. So you're likely to have another opportunity to get on them, and the damage is so high. I don't know. It's crazy.
Right. And especially if you're facing like a physical team and you manage to dodge with Violet. So I think there is a there's a strategy there. Like maybe you try to close. Um, I keep thinking back to the most recent CM map with the you know the center height differences. Like maybe you bring one of your units to like a flank position, and then you bring one of your other ones to like another flank position. So like no matter where they go, like you're gonna run into one of them, and then you can close in the other direction. Um, or maybe
Vinny just over here like, yeah, I got him to argue.
no, it's definitely something that I wanted to bring up as well. Or and that's kind of an alternative to the more traditional, like keeping your evade units together so their affinity, luck, and dex buffs help you like evade and hit, you know, but also um, make you more vulnerable to like an AoE guaranteed hit or something. Um, I think ultimately, I think it comes down to like what you become comfortable with. I think we have yet to see like a three-man evade team really do a lot of work, and if any of them were able to, I would say definitely like Violet, Locke, Elena, for sure. So I guess keep an eye out for that to happen.
One of my other thoughts is if the opposing team only has sure hits as their anti-evade strategy, you're just gonna waste well, burn out all of their sure hit casts, and then
Right.
they can't hit you. So yay.
like I I don't think, yeah, a lot of the stuff that will one shot you are going to be LBs or I mean basically LBs or super short range things you're going to counterattack. But if it's like a sharpshoot, I'm hard pressed to think that you're going to one shot these units with just one sharpshoot unless it's like super duper buffed and they get to set up, but you're doing evade buffs and approaching them. So I feel like they're not going to, it's still not going to work out. So yeah, exactly. They're just gonna burn out their, Velas is gonna do his AoE thing, and then it's gonna be sad when he gets piled on. And plus, like they're all light slash chaining too, which is just the damage is gonna stack up like crazy. Um, Maybe I'm overvaluing it, but I don't think I am. Sorry, Vinny, any other building onto that, or
No,
Daniel, any
so
other thoughts there?
Yeah, I would say like I'm definitely staying tuned for just how crazy that can be. It's already the light evade meta is already crazy enough. I'm actually hoping, as much as I'm invested in light evade, I'm actually hoping that it starts swinging away from the light evade meta. Um, that can be good for like light evade teams, like if people aren't expecting them, but especially with Joker, with maybe like higher accuracy Earth teams or Lightning teams or Water teams or whatever. Um, I prefer a balanced meta, so let's hope that maybe Joker has more of an impact on the meta than Violet. But yeah, we'll see if that's the case or not. Are you ready to go into the rapier?
Yeah, I was gonna say rapier real quick. So Queen does have a weapon. It is a sword, equipable by what appears to be all sword users. The +5 effect, she gets, well, the person using the sword gets the increased critical rate 20 for 3 turns for self, and also 15 slash attack. It has a vital, assault, and aim version set of options. We get 162 attack on the assault version. We get 16 accuracy on the aim version. 16 is only one higher than 15, and we had this discussion earlier with the dagger. I mean, I think you do get one additional accuracy if it is a 50%, so you get 8 instead of 7, which is nice, but at the same time, it's still low. We'd have to, figure out if the losing 49 attack is worth that or not. Probably not, but I don't know, because maybe just, not hitting is also pretty bad. That's, might as well have negative attack. But slash attack as an effect is kind of boring for me. I'm slowly liking the slash resist pens, defense pens, things like that more. So I don't personally love this sword, although I would like to have one as an option. Do you, either of you, thinking aim over assault, or are we just going? I mean, I guess it could be a taste thing. I don't even know, but nothing super exciting here for me. Daniel, any thoughts on it? And then we'll go to Vinny.
Yeah. I am not thrilled about this sword, although I have already made one just for like testing purposes. The reason is because it's not like a defensive thing, which I think would have more value. The fact that the crit rate is for the start of the battle, where you're generally buffing for 1 or 2 turns, I don't think it's as impactful as, say, like an HP buff, like from the chocolate earrings, where like if you get rushed, then you're like, well, shit, hopefully I survive against this keen blade rush, you know. Um, I
Like,
w- I would have rather liked to see like a straight like crit buff, you know, but the fact that there's 15 crit on the stat, or in the stat block itself, I'm probably like, I built an assault, and I don't know if I'm going to be building another rapier +5, you know, but I don't see the passive 3-turn buff as impactful as it could be, unless you're actually doing the blitzkrieg, like the lightning fast like starting rush, and you can maybe uh, take advantage of like a couple turns of having that higher crit rate.
Vinny, anything?
I think it's kind of terrible.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is, like, things that have these 4/3 turns for self. I need an effect that's like, acquired AP 15 for 3 turns for self, or something that's like missile
Right.
resistance for 3 turns for self, HP, things like that are impactful if you get rushed, or impactful for your preparation, not like things you want later in the game, because you're probably only getting one effective turn out of that tops because of approaches and buff applications. So I'm not thrilled about
Yeah,
effects
like
like this.
I would rather use like Mythgraven Blade, or like even like an Engine Blade for the
The
slash res pen.
Mythgraven is nuts. Yeah.
I know, it's so good. So that's actually what I'm using right now instead of this.
All right, I'm gonna rap god my way through Queen here. So we have been going on for a little while. Then I'll open it up to you guys jumping in. I'm probably gonna miss something, because like I said, I'm gonna try to go through kind of quick. I do want to spend time talking about her, but just getting through the stats and all the sort of the crunch side of it. So Queen is probably the most underestimated unit of the banner, and I think we've talked about this. I don't know if we mentioned it since clicking the record button, but all three of us think she's the most interesting unit of the three. Actually, at least me and Daniel. Vinny, did you say that as well, or am I just lumping you in with us?
I think she's okay.
I didn't say
But
she's
not
good. I said that she's interesting.
interesting. I'm not that interested in her, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fair. All right. So she is a 3/1, another 3/1 unit with 90 cost. She has a priestess main job with gunner again, and pugilist subjobs. She also has a TMR mask called Queen Replica Mask. It's an accessory, 354 HP, 10 defense, and 52 magic. Cool to have another one with just flat magic on it. The ability is Gaia Pact. So it's a 1-use 28 TP cross AoE centered on self that gives 20 Spirit Pen for 3 turns for allies. I actually do like this. I don't imagine I'm going to be using it in a set of 3 very often for PvP, but with certain rule sets limiting things, maybe this could be something useful. But her master ability is the normal lightning passive. Then she also gets 15% HP and 5 lightning attack. I think all 3 units got some weird like 5 flat bonus or something. It was like evasion, lightning attack, and it was like AoE resist or something on Joker. Yeah, they could maybe bump these to 10, but the units are pretty good as is. Going into her stats, she does have a beefy HP pool of 4.4k after everything's said and done, with a relatively high base, if I recall. She has 63 agility after everything. However, her base, I believe, is only 58.
Yeah, 58.
So she's not quite as insane as the other 2, but still pretty good. She has built-in 4 and 8 defense and spirit respectively. But I think the reason people are saying she's pretty bad, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I think that it makes her interesting, is she is a hybrid unit of attack and magic. So after everything's said and done on her like board and her base stats, she gets 370 attack and 446 magic. So she leans heavier on the magic side, but she does have a fairly okay attack stat pool as well. Moving into her resist, though, she gets a +5 to slash and missile, a whopping 20% on magic resist, and then she's neutral to strike and -5 to pierce. So not a whole lot of negative across the board, which is good to see. Also not a crazy high amount of positive either. She's kind of like going back to beginning of the game mage sort of resistances, where everything's low except for the magic resist, except she's not like -30 on all of them like in the beginning of the game. So yeah, right. Or Mish is like oh god.
Yeah.
Resistance status resistances. However, she gets 10% to silence, which is a nice one to have just a little bit too. This is one I wouldn't mind having 50%, but like having it at all is nice. Not being able to cast anything that's magic scaling sucks. She does have 50% immobilize as well, and 50% doom. The doom is not amazing. It doesn't come up a lot. Like we always say, we'd prefer something like charm, poison, slow, stop, disable, basically any of the other half that she doesn't have. So I realized I started listing off like all of them, but I mean, you can't have everything, so it's okay. I'll move on from that. Nothing else super notable. I guess going to her dex and luck, they're not nearly as high as the other 2 units, but I don't think they're horrible. 241 luck after everything is that's kind of like medium, right?
Yeah.
Like if I go to the index, like the top luck is like 290, where she's like down in the 30s. Yeah, she's 39th overall. Her base, though, I'm not sure what her base is. So it's a lot of head math to figure that out on the fly here, but she's not like the most accurate thing in the world just off her base stats. But let's get into her skills.
Her base dex is actually higher than the other 2's.
Dex? Oh, sorry, I was thinking luck. Yeah, sorry, I should have said luck. But you're saying her dex is higher, which is
she has 196 dex base and 157 luck.
So she'll benefit from percents more, but her actual dex is lower than the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so going to her passives, she gets Gifted Student, which upgrades to Gifted and Upstanding Student. So she gets 24% attack and magic with 40% defense penetration. So she leans higher on the magic stat, but she gets defense penetration in her passive, which is an interesting dynamic there. That is the only passive she gets from her unique main job. The other 4 passives are all the normal ones from Pugilist and Gunner. Her counter, she does get a reflex, so she can reflex physical damage only. So the collaboration did get a reflex, but what are you saying, Daniel? Yeah, I was gonna say I thought they were both higher, but you're talking about the dex or
both?
Both, okay. So yeah, she does get a physical reflex, so we're probably just using that. However, her other ones, counter shot, as Daniel likes to say, is to shoot yourself in the back. counter. And then
It's
flurry
up
is
to
flurry's kind of cool. Like if you're using the flurry enhancement, like it's come up a lot when I'm using Oron, where people just like walk up to him and hit him for
Yeah.
like whatever short range stuff, and then he just like punches them in the face for a shit ton of damage. Like it is cool, but I can't get away from the reflexes.
Yeah.
Her basic attack is nothing interesting. It's just a strike 70 mod from like one range. Now, getting to her main job, she has I actually haven't seen the English versions of these yet. So the first one is Frey. It was Frey, like Frey in the JP translation, but now it's Frei. Maybe that's a reference to something lore wise, not sure, but
Like Fry.
basically. So 6 uses, 14 AP. It gets upgraded to not a new name. Decreases spirit by 30 before the hit, which is beautiful. 141 damage mod is okay. And then the magic series of skills in the game do nuclear damage. Oh wow, okay. They do nuclear damage. That's what the name's supposed to mean. So her basic spam small ability is the one that deals nuclear damage. I cannot wait to see the rest of her skills. So decrease magic by 43 for target. So that's a magic debuff. And this is a magic skill, but when it gets upgraded, there is no cast time, which is nice. Her first buff is Empty the Mind, increases spirit for self by 20 for 3 turns, and also gives her the 50% chance to basically ignore counter effects. This is 22 TP, 2 uses, not a ton of AP gen, but I believe she starts with, she's like a middle AP start, like 50% AP scaling. Does anybody know that for a fact or not? I think she's in the middle there.
You can see it if you click on Go to Builder.
We're gonna go to the builder. Oh no,
It's 108 out
Oh,
of
so glitchy.
145.
Gotcha.
So
so she actually gets the like mage start. So she gets like that
Yeah.
70% or 75 or whatever that is, or 60. What percent is that? All right, I'm opening up the
Yeah,
calculator.
it's
I might
more
go over the
than-
screen.
it's more than 50, but it's less. I think it's less than mages.
It is 74.48%.
So you're
It's a
saying
weird
there's a
value.
chance.
I think it rounds. It's rounding somewhere. I think it's 75 probably, but like rounding. It's like 75 rounding down. But her next skill. Oh man, these names are gonna kill me.
Murakukacha.
Murakukacha or Kaja? Is that a J or is that gonna be like an H sound? Like Kaha.
It's up to you, I guess.
Murakukaja. Alright, we'll call it Murakukaja. Maracas. So she gets it's 36 TP, 3 uses, cross AoE centered on herself, AoE height 1. Gives AoE resist to 15 to allies. And then for herself, she gets a 40% attack and magic buff. Yeah, it's quite a bit. Then her first physical skill. Oh, and I guess to mention, since she is hybrid, some of these can be magic, some are gonna be physical. This does not have a cast time either, which is cool. Then she has an offensive physical scaling ability, which is her first strike ability. It is limited to the line range, but it's range 3 with a range height 1 AoE 1, a ton of 5 uses with 32 AP, quite a bit. But it's called Flash Bomb. Increases accuracy by 40 for self before damage, and then deals a 165 mod strike. I've already said strike, sorry. I'm like all over the place on this one. 25% chance to inflict stun for a turn. So she's generally going to be a 97 faith unit, I assume, because magic damage. This stun could be fairly, coin flippy, and stun is really fucking annoying to play against. So, maybe a tilt around that one. JB is mentioning this name of a buff in the game, also giving an offensive buff. Makes sense. Yeah, I feel like
I think stun is one of those statuses that you don't lose your evade chance. Otherwise, that'd be so awesome.
I think you're correct. Yeah, which I was very disappointed with. And I guess to mention, I don't know if I said that the attack hits in a cross AoE, but it does. Then we have another offensive magic skill, which does have a cast time of 280 when maxed, so it's gonna be
What's
4
it called?
ticks unless you find. Oof. God, I hate these fucking skills. Mafredine. somewhere in there. One of those. We're locking in. 28 AP, 3 uses, range 3 with an AoE, or with a cross AoE, range height 2 though, which is sweet. With an AoE of 1. It breaks general barriers for targets, and then deals 185 mods, so pretty decent modifier. Now, we've talked about this before. My fucking goldfish brain can never remember. If we say general barrier, does it have to be a hybrid one, or is it just breaks any barrier that's on them?
Any barrier. And the fact that it's an AoE is just even more crazy.
That's what I thought. Yeah, this skill is sweet. This is one thing I really like about her. And then let's go into, I believe this is going to be her persona theme skill. So physical attack called Charge Johanna. It is another strike attack, 30 AP, 3 uses, same as the previous magic attack where it's got the 3 range cross AoE, range height 2, AoE height 1, 200 damage mod, and then also if it hits, it decreases healing power by 40 for targets for 3 turns. So really interesting mix here. She gets, she's an accuracy buff built into damage. She's got like at least a status to use. She's got a ton of damage buffs, breaks general barrier. A lot of stuff to like. Definitely some stuff missing, but getting into her main sub job, priestess. She has Freydine, so she has Ma Freydine, and apparently someone else is Freydine. It's 28 AP, 4 casts, range of 4 with a range height of 2. Now this is her dispelling re-raise ability, B4 damage, which is sweet. And then it's a 185 damage mod with a 320 cast time. So this is a pretty sweet skill. Adding on to her sort of, she can break barriers, get rid of re-raises. I like a lot of this. The second skill in her main sub job though is, god damn it. Oh, I'm just absorbing it. I don't know if it's Media or Media. Oh my god, dude. Media Rahan? What the fuck is this? God damn it. I need like a phonetic thing under it. God, I'm just butchering all these. I'm not even gonna try.
What if it's like Mediarahan?
It's like Media Rahan. Like what's like there's so many ways you could break this word up. God damn it. Anyway, 320 cast, basically a Kuraga, with a range of 4, range height 2, AoE 1. She's got some pretty generous range heights, which is really cool. 34 TP forecast. So adding a heal into the kit. So a lot of this makes me think she's intended to be much more of a magic unit than a physical unit. Though I do like her physical moves because they have pretty decent modifiers, and that's what her accuracy is attached to. So very weird combinations. Her job level 12 gunner skill is arm shot, so she does get arm shot instead of double shot or vital, which is pretty sweet. I think that's the one I'd prefer of the 3. And then pugilist, she gets pugilistic mastery, which increases strike attack 40 and defense pen by 20. Goes really well with her passive as well as setting up her offensive skills. I like this one a lot. I think the other ones are like the one where it's like a range like 1 thing, and then there's one that's like it hits in a line of 3 but only from 1 range away, something like that. Their offensive skills are just different types of damage. I much prefer having a buff here. And she also gets, now all pugilists do, but breathing technique is pretty sweet. So she has kind of a powerful self-heal. But her LB is Atomic Flare. Pretty badass name. 58 AP, 1 cast, range 4 with a height of 1. It's a Lightning Imperil for 25 for 3 turns on target. Then a 200 damage mod, and it grants haste for 3 turns to self, which is pretty sweet. Now, that is her kit overall. Besides me butchering these fucking names, I was gonna try to go fast through this, but they really tripped me up this time. That's all I could think of. All right, so Vinny, what are your primary? Actually, I'm gonna start with this and then see if it covers most of the stuff you're gonna say. But the reason I think that a lot of people think she's bad, and this is fair, is when you're splitting damage up between both types, it's really hard to build for both, and you end up kind of getting like a jack of all trades, master of none sort of situation. But like it's not even just master of none, it's just not good enough at any of them. I think that's what she falls into, but I also see these things like she has 24% of each in her passive, she's got 40% of each in a buff. Like, I want to see what these actually build up to, because I know these are based on base values. So like even her totals of 370 and 446, that's, you know, after a couple percentage bonuses and things that aren't factored into the base value. So maybe these buffs aren't as impactful as I think they are, but like I find it really, she's very compelling to me. But other things, she does have low nominal luck and dex, so maybe that's also why people are kind of criticizing her a lot. She's not the easiest to build for. I think she's kind of beefy, which is cool, so she's more of like a bruisery utility unit. I don't necessarily think she's gonna have to be your main damage dealer, but she has the ability to do so. I guess, yeah, I'll pass it to you. What are your concerns with her, and why do you think she's kind of shit? It's because she's lightning and you don't want people to play her?
Maybe, but it's mostly for it's because of the attack and magic stats, which is really the main thing. Like, the bases are actually relatively low, so even if you do have lots of multipliers or lots of buffs to it, it's just not that great. It doesn't end up that high compared to like other DPS units. Having magic attacks and physical attacks is great, but when you look at DPS units nowadays, for example, if you look at Esther, she has so much slash res pen in the kit and also some defense penetration that you don't need different damage types. You just go all in on that one and deal loads of damage anyway. The main advantage Queen would have is if the opponent has a weakness, then you get the benefit of that multiplier.
It's also probably going to be strike if they do have a weakness, because no one really builds for it. So I think you kind of get that as a little bit of a side value.
The chances of someone having magic weakness or magic resistance and a strike resistance, like both those resistances, are quite unlikely. My one other thought was her cast skills. They all take 4 clock ticks, which is quite a long time, in my opinion. Yeah, those are my main thoughts. Someone on Reddit Discord described her as 3 different ways of dealing 2,000 damage.
I mean, yeah, I can see what they're saying. Now, what do you think a reasonable damage value, or sorry, attack or magic stat has to be before you consider them like a fairly decent damage dealer? Do you have sort of a number in your head, or are you just...
I think usually you see like 1,300 as a minimum, 1,200, like in the team.
Sure.
But I've not actually properly looked at them.
No, I was wondering what your kind of like mental rule of thumb is, because I know like some people are saying like, oh, she's not gonna have over like 1,000 of each of those. I'm like, maybe. I guess real quick before we continue, the brass knuckles, I'll touch on this real quick because we haven't been talking about weapons like during the units, but this one has vital, aim, and crit versions. There is no like salt, magic, or anything. The aim version gets 15 accuracy, but drastically lower attack and magic. So I think I have to go vital or crit, and in that case, I'm just going crit. 182 attack and 182 magic, and then the passives are strike attack 10 and magic attack 10 for self. This is something I was, just because we're talking about magic and attack values, I think almost 200 of each is kind of insane, just from the weapon slot. But again, this doesn't help with percentages and stuff. But just want to touch on that real quick while we're saying this. So yeah, 1,300 I think is what most people consider. But I feel like she could definitely hit, like if you have 1,100 of each, would that be acceptable? Like I feel like having both of them at like 1,000 to 1,100 would be fairly decent, especially because a lot of her value isn't like primary damage dealer. She's not, I don't think you're expecting her to carry the match, but she's going to provide so much value for your other units to carry with her. I guess especially because I honestly think that I'd put her on her main sub, just because I wanted to have the access to like having a Curaga in the back and also being able to take off re-raises before evasion too. So like even if you don't hit lock, you still dispel his re-raise, so it's like you hit him once and then you just have to hit him another time to actually kill him. So I don't know, I'm not totally maybe I'm gonna admit up front I am probably a little bit biased here, just because I love hybrid units and I love the theoretical potential of a unit sometimes more than their like actually what they do. Um, yeah, sorry, I keep on. You, I guess continue your thoughts. Sorry.
I had one last thought is that she's a very good holder of a future VC, which is low HP but very mixed magic and attack stats, and it's the lightning agility VC. So she's a
Cool.
very good holder of that one.
It's a
That's
lightning
one
party
with
effect one.
Celia, that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so yeah. Oh, lightning 15%. Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh
shouldn't be
wow,
bringing attention to this because I hate this VC
you
compared
hate it?
to, yeah, playing again. I would hate playing against it.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, water resistance too. Good lord, just adding insult to injury. Wait, whoa. 25% acquired AP and 15% agility.
Like the opposite of Vow to Meet Again.
What is this card? All right, well that's okay. Future stuff. Let's not get too down that rabbit hole, but that's crazy. I really like that. That was your. Do you say that was your last thought on sort of her? Okay, Daniel.
You know,
Yeah, so I have a few thoughts in terms of her like not her base values, but like her total values, like ending up over 1,000 or whatever. I think it's notable that like between Warrior Spirit and her Gifted Student passive, like she can almost reach like a self-sacrifice passive in terms of like attack buff. Um, I don't think she's gonna struggle with having like a decent attack or a decent magic. But if she was, it would probably be attack just because she has like a lower base than her magic skill, you know? Like having like 446 magic and then like almost having like a magic level 1 passive of 30%. Like yeah, it's 24, but I mean, that's only 6%. So I'm actually really interested in seeing how far we can push her attack and magic like total stats. Like you, I love hybrid units. I was actually one of the main reasons I was looking forward to Elena so much was because I was expecting her to be the next hybrid unit after Gilgamesh. So, but like we obviously we've seen that wasn't the case, which I'm not really happy about. But yeah, I love hybrid units. I think it's similar to having a unit that has multiple attack types,
Right.
except for like it's more versatile because you have like you can attack their defense or you can attack their spirit, and how good you are at doing either of those is going to impact like how well you do against certain matchups. Um, One of my biggest concerns for her, I think, is that she doesn't really have a standout Esper to use, especially for like all of the lightning Espers between like Europa, Aigaon, Scorpion. Like most of them are like slash attack, besides like Europa, which is like magic attack. She doesn't have slash attacks, so like she's just going to be able to take advantage of like the lightning attack only. I know that Coral has the missile attack up, which is going to help her with Gunner. So that might be the best one for her, but it's an MR Esper. It's not a UR Esper in terms of stats. So that's like Golem for one might be one of the best for her, or I don't know, fucking Demon Wall for the charm resistance. You know, it's there's not really one that stands out to me unless you go just for like straight Odin or for or Bahamut or whatever. That's either that makes her versatile or it makes her like it's a detriment to her, you know. Normally for somebody like Rahan, for instance, like obviously you're going to be using Europa on him, or like for Locke, like obviously you're going to use Dark Odin as like the like best in slot. Like there doesn't seem to be a best in slot for her, and I'm still trying to decide if that's a good or a bad thing.
How do you feel about Ramu?
I love Ramu for the accuracy and the lightning attack and the magic. So like I mean that's definitely a pick. So for me, like I always have
Are you worried
multiple
about her
espers,
survivability?
obviously. So like if I'm building her for accuracy, I'm gonna probably use Ramu. You know, um, so but that's focusing on her magic stuff. You know, it's gonna leave her like kind of physical attacks in the dust. So yeah, it just like I like how versatile she is, but like I don't know how much we want to push that, you know. without it becoming like a too versatile or like it becomes a detriment. Like I said. Another thing, like similar to Violet, like she only has range skills, like missile attacks on her gunner sub, and like her brass knuckles, which are awesome for her. They don't have any like missile attack damage mod. Um, so like it just feels like for as hybrid as she seems to be, like you're almost going to be focusing on one or the other. So like that it doesn't have as much an impact as you or I would really like to see, where like you focus on both physical and magical like attacking. I feel like people are just gonna be like, yeah, this is nice, but I'm gonna just go and focus on magic attacks or something.
I think
Then,
she is definitely intended to be more magic leaning.
yeah.
I would definitely agree with that.
The
I'm
next
looking at
thing,
a real quick, say anybody who's looking at my screen, I'm looking at a theoretical build that Vinny just sent, so you can look
oh
at it
yeah.
in the background while listening to Daniel.
So the next thing, I really wish her main sub job healing skill, the Meteorahan, I wish that was her main job skill. Like having that Curaga like ability, I think would be much more potent on her as a unit if it was a main job skill. The fact that you have to have her on her main sub, like priestess sub job instead of say like pugilist or even gunner, it kind of detracts from like what I feel like she should be, which is like that, like JB mentioned, like the flex um support slash attacker that I feel like she should be. Like the fact that you have to focus on her main sub job just to get the awesome healing, and well, to a lesser extent like the re-raise and removal. I don't think that's really doing her a favor in terms of her impact as a cool lightning unit, and I think, I don't know, lastly, because I really like her pugilist sub job and I like to see her do physical damage as well as magic damage, I think lastly, like her LB in peril is just fucking weird. Like, why did they stop at 25% instead of 38%, which is a normal? Like, it must, like, I can only imagine, like, it's still a high cost. So, like, is it because it also grants her haste? So, like, they didn't want it to
Yeah,
be as big of a imperil as well, like it's like
Probably.
overpowered LB,
It's like having a party element VC, right? Like your main effect and then your sub effect. So like haste, you can't really do a half a haste. I guess you could, but it's like a status with a definition, so they gotta like half the other effect.
and normally when they have imperil effect and something else, it's normally 25. Where if it's just um, imperil, then it's usually 38. Usually.
Yeah. I think it's cool between her main sub or her main job, spirit buff slash reduction block skill, and her pugilist like iron body stance. She can buff both defense and spirit. I think it's also cool that she has like a spirit break attack, similar to like Joker's like defense break attack. That I think, like, I think Joker's is both attack and magic debuff as well. Um, but I like the fact that she gets a spirit break attack as well.
I was
Um,
gonna show there was a theoretical thing I built for her, just like out of curiosity, looking at like how you could push her limits or whatever with her stats. I'm trying to get the I think I open original. There we go. So I built this.
yeah, I love that.
This is a Lamega Fist, which has a pretty high base, or has like a little bit of a base accuracy added, and then with the accuracy stats, we have like defense and spirit pen, 20% attack and magic. Got some more accuracy with the dex, lightning attack, and all that. This is just like a thing I was thinking about that be
After we talk
fairly
about
interesting,
it,
I think. Yeah, but this is just like a theory craft. I
yeah,
wish Watt v Cal would like total up all the values better with TMR stones, because like I feel like
yeah,
even like this unit builder here, like we have this, but does he have the actual like breakdown of what we're getting from every equipment? Oh, I guess it does show here a little bit. It's weird. How did you get this to work, Vinny? Because mine, whenever I build stuff on here, it never shows the actual stats that the TMRs have, like with the bonuses and stuff. Or is that? Oh, that is just the base, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it there. There is a small. I think there's a bug where so you've got 20%. If you had 20% magic on the TMR and 20% magic on the Galmia code, I think it adds them together when it shouldn't do.
Yeah, the
Um,
Galmia would. Yeah, I'd use something else probably.
but yeah, that's the only. Yeah, I think it's working fine otherwise.
Is it? Because the equipment 2 stats only show the base stats of the mask. I think this is supposed to be where the mask is with all like the luck and stuff. I don't think is
Right,
applying
yeah.
at all because like we're not getting this 160 HP, 160, like all this stuff is just not showing up. Because she definitely has more than
In which
like that much HP.
case, I don't know.
And like this isn't a you thing. I'm not saying it's you. It's like it's literally just the
Yeah,
way Wafi Calc is working or not working rather.
yeah.
But yeah, with these passes and stuff, well, at least we hit 1,000 of each. Yeah, I am not necessarily saying I think she's gonna like break the game or something. I just think that she has more potential than a lot of players were seeing up front. But I will also agree she's not a unit for new players. You need to have a lot of tools available. She's not a unit that's like every account needs. She's not like the thing that's going to break mono lightning. I think just if you put a lot of work into her, there are potentials to make her at least viable, especially in a live PvP scenario. So
Bruiser.
I guess I'll kind of and I'll kind of I guess I'll wrap up my thoughts with that. Any final thoughts on the Persona 5 collab? Oh wow, this is a long one. We went like 2 hours. Holy shit. Daniel.
I'd love to say I would expect all three of the units to be seen quite a lot in live PvP. But unfortunately, like I don't think Queen is going to show up as often as the other two. Mostly
Agreed.
because the other two are like polar opposites, you know. Um, but I mean, out of the three, I'm definitely looking forward to testing Queen's limits the most. Like we've said, obviously recently, like she's the most interesting. So I wasn't. I guess where I'm at right now is like I wasn't really looking forward to the banner, the collab coming to global, because I knew it was just going to push the power creep, the power curve, even further, like these collab banners always do. Um, I wasn't invested in the franchise at all. So like I know I always say like integrity of the story, whatever. Like I prefer not to see seasonal units or anything. I just want to see more of the story units get more of a spotlight, you know. So to a lesser extent, like the any of the collabs that are not Final Fantasy, I'm just like eh. But their impact is undeniable, and I just hope that people are prepared for how crazy they can make a match.
Real quick, Zenith pointed out there's a line specifically for materia on this builder that I missed. So it does not lump in with the equipment itself. It actually just has its own line. So the materia is actually factored into this build, which is sweet. So you can see here it's like 830 health, 160 attack, etc., down the line. That is very helpful. Thank you.
I want to see her push like 10k HP, honestly.
I got you. Just give me a little bit. I haven't built her yet.
Figure that out.
I'm
See
gonna
what
see
I
what
can.
I'm probably gonna greed a little bit for Astoria. I have a lot more viz right now than I was expecting to have. So um just like collect ice units, worry the crystal units, and then weird, interesting maybe stuff along the way. But I'll probably end up having to pull farm.
Something I just remembered, like I forgot to mention about my Esper consideration for Queen. You have to take into account if she's using a lightning Esper, you like you might have to consider like is she using one that you'd rather have on somebody else, you know, on like a mono lightning team. So
Oh,
um
she will not be on a mono lightning. Actually, no, that's
but
not true. I guess that actually no, that does bring up. Oh, sorry. Finish your thought, and then I'll get into my.
oh yeah, so like if she's using like Scorpion Sentinel to just like boost her physical attack as much as possible, like you probably want to have that on a more physical attacker like Cloud or Federico or 9S or something. And the same with the others. So yeah, it's just kind of a unnecessary choice, kind of.
So I don't necessarily see her being on a mono lightning team because she's a lot of utility in her kit, not necessarily looking to benefit like crazy from damage stuff. Although,
Here's forever.
yeah, right. Except having like a full team of lightning, though, you get the lightning attack bonuses and the HP percent, so that does factor into like if you're gonna have like mediocre damage, you want all the damage mods you can find. So I can see an argument both ways. Um, However, if I were to run on mono lightning, she is a cool bridging unit. So she gets to benefit both from, like you were saying, like physical VCs as well as magic VCs. So you could have a team of like, I was thinking like Esther, Renan, and her. So the cards that Esther wants and the cards that Renan wants will both benefit Queen, and you can kind of help support both of them in that way. So there's things like that I think are really cool. If you have more, I guess that thought's not necessarily correct, so I won't say that. But going back to something Vinny said earlier too, where like with Joker, you don't know like what his range is until he does something. You have to actually go and study Queen stats a bit to kind of see what they're doing with her, like to see if they're going more attack, more magic, more like tanky, what her resists. Like there's almost like a mental tax for the first turn or two with Queen against a Queen. You have to figure out what the fuck she's going to be doing. Or maybe you just don't care because you don't respect her and you just kill her anyway and she's bad. But I think assuming you're going to be, she's built decently, you have to figure out what she's doing. Yeah, the bridging is cool. Will also be an excuse for me to finally run Renan in live PvP. But yeah. So I was going for last thoughts earlier. Any final thoughts before we wrap up for the day? Because we did go pretty long, and we'll maybe touch on next week when we have lower releases some of the other topics that we had in mind. Vinny.
Celeste and Alstoria have a strike weakness. So if you're really, really struggling against them, then Queen is an option.
I'm supposed to tell people that. Protect thyself. Is that the last thing you wanted to say?
Yeah, that's it.
I love Vinny, man. Vinny, you're such a I love your sportsmanship and obviously your attention to detail and strategy and stuff. Like you have consistently given people tools to beat you, and yet you're still as successful as you are. I just find that really cool. And maybe see you next year for the next time you're on. That's a guess.
Well, I don't know if using double quicken is that sportsmanship like, but
Oh yeah.
Well, at least you're not like. I guess you could technically cheese blade him on a water, right? Too. So and you're not doing that, so you haven't gone that dark.
I did a kind of cheese blade in one of the CMs. It was the Mines map, I think. It's a dark dingy cave. Quicken not allowed. I used Glaciella, Eldyra, and Victoria.
Okay.
So not the fastest cheese blade, but I've got Victoria's LB available. So just as scary if you're not fast enough.
You also do Zazan, right? With oh wait, Victor, I just realized is not that wasn't water. How dare you not use 3 water units?
No, right?
No, yeah. I know you're not as like pure water. It's just you are one of the only people I know that is like super sort of water focused at least. So I always find it interesting to hear your perspective on that.
I've always been super interested in water. I have like all of the water units, but I'm not as much of a manly man as Vinny to use them, to focus on them, to bring them every CM.
I will always maintain that water has some of the most interesting units overall.
Absolutely.
Combinations of kits and interesting abilities and EX upgrades and stuff. So it is one of my favorite elements. Is like just some purely theoretical standpoint. But all right, I think that does wrap us up for this week. Anyone in chat, if you have last thoughts that you'd like us to touch on as well, we can try to squeeze those in during the outro. But if not, Vinny, thank you for joining us again, offering all of your insight. Super appreciative, especially sort of taking the reins on going through the units for us as well a little bit. Super appreciated. Do you have any? I know you've put out some YouTube stuff before, just like theoretical things. Are you making any content right now that you want us to shout out, or?
The last thing I put out was I was actually looking at my recent or past Reddit posts. The recent one being that where I was complaining about Water's history in the game, and the one before that was like a class match ages and ages ago, like before season 2. So now I'm not really doing anything. But if you want to catch me, I'm usually on the Reddit Discord. I'm on the PvP live server. And just feel free to ping me.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, do you want me to link your YouTube, like where you put up some theoretical videos, or
Nah,
just...
that's fine.
All right.
Yeah,
all
there's
good.
nothing on YouTube really anymore.
That's fair. I'll just go link all of your old Reddit posts or your Reddit account. People can go look at it.
Yeah.
But all right. Thank you again for joining us. We've been Let's Talk Tactics. I've been Zach Bro.
I've been Dana Boom.
And we'll see you next time.